Hey, you! Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name's Kevin, aka Catterman. I'm an East Coast angler who loves to catch catfish. I make all kinds of videos, whether it's on product reviews, reel maintenance, or catching giant fish with all kinds of cool people. Don't mind subscribing to my channel and stay tuned for future content. I hope you enjoy the rest of this video. Are you ready? Let's go.
Trust me, I don't wanna feel no more.
I'm going to show you how to service and maintain your Rover reel. Yeah, this baby right here. Next thing I'm going to do is put up a video for you guys, and it's going to be my entrance to 2017. That means the first fish I caught in 2017. Alright, well, let's get to the important stuff. The one thing though I want to let all of you know though is that this is going to be a long video. So don't think this is going to be one of those short videos where it's just going to be like the person going over it really quick, like here you do this, here you do that. No. Not only am I going to say things, but I'm also going to show you exactly what part is what. And I'm going to take my time. I want this to be as detailed as possible so that you all understand exactly what you're doing. Due to the fact that the video is so long, I've put links down into the description for the specific times and what I'm doing in each time period. So you go down there, check right now in the description, whatever you need to see, whichever part you need to skip to, you can skip to it right here. Well, you've asked for it, so today I'm going to show you how to service and clean the KastKing Rover. First thing that we need, oil. I use real butter, the Ardent, and Cal's reel grease. I'm going to put a link in the description for this. Well, let's grab one of these lucky Rovers. I've got 3 reels that I need to service today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape. I'm just going to use the remains of an old packaging that I've received. Oh, that goes in there, perfect. Alright, so not only are you going to need the oil and the reel grease, but you're also going to need a screwdriver that works to open up the reel, and preferably 2 paintbrushes, fine ones. One for the grease and one to kind of loosen different objects. The first thing you want to do to clean the reel and service it is take off the reel handle. So what I found is that an 11 size key is used to open the reel. So the first thing you want to do is take the handle off. So this is actually the custom power handle I have for it. Now I don't have a reel handle keeper on there, which is recommended, which you really should have. So the first thing we want to make sure, and this is a very important step, you don't want to lose this C-lock. That's what this is called. I'm going to show you in a second after I take it off. You want to be very careful taking it off. Take your time. No rush. So you want to take that off. If this bounces somewhere, you're basically screwed. Your reel is not going to work correctly after this. Which is actually the issue that I'm facing with the Abu Garcia Classic right here, is that somehow the previous owner sold me the reel without the C-lock. What a nice gentleman, right? I was always wondering, why is there such a gap and why is everything messing up on the road now? Because they forgot to include the fact that, hey, I lost the C-lock. There we go. So this C-lock clip is very tiny. There you go. That's it. Put that to the side. Make sure it doesn't fly anywhere. And underneath that now we've got a metal ring. That's next. So first C-lock, then metal ring. So here's the little metal ring. Now we take the handle off. We're going to grease this later. Clean it and grease it. And make sure you don't forget this flip underneath the handle. So now we're going to put our thumb on the spool. And we're going to loosen the drag. By doing this, we're also going to be able to take off the star drag on there. So this star drag comes off really nice and smoothly, easily. So we're going to want to grease all this too afterwards. There's the star drag. So now we have that. So now what we can do is loosen. You don't want to loosen these screws yet. I'm going to show you what's underneath that. But so now you're going to loosen these. On the same side as the real handle. Twist them until they come loose. Just loosen them and twist them loose with your hand. This is very similar to doing an Abu Garcia and basically any round bait casting reel. So here we go. Now we've opened it. This still looks nice from the last time when I serviced it. Make sure, be careful of these brakes right here. These plastic parts on the internal braking system. You don't want those to fly anywhere. Alright, so now we're going to loosen the tensioner right here, the spool tensioner. Just going to take it off. Be very slow and careful about it. Because there's a little disc inside of there. You're going to want to keep that in there. Alright, so here we go. We've got a bearing in there. And boom, there you go. Flop right out. So it's supposed to go in like that. So let's take that out. I'm going to clean that and re-grease that. I'm also going to re-grease this. Oof. Yeah, this looks a little dirty. Always put it up in the same fashion as you take it off. Alright, so now after doing that, actually let's take the spool off. So we're going to take the spool off right here. So there's the spool. I'm going to put that right here, like that. Preferably with the brakes going like this to each side. Alright, good. Now there's that. Look inside. This is all still well greased. The inside of this definitely needs to be cleaned. So usually I'm just going to use like just a paper. Paper is usually fine, especially when it's just for the smog that I want to clean up or some muddy gunk. Now the level wind here is really caked up, and I'm going to show you in a sec how to clean the level wind too, because that's an important aspect. If anything goes wrong with the level wind, you are so done for. You don't even want to know. That's also why a lot of salt fishermen do not use level winds, because when they break, there's a good chance you're going to lose that fish. Any areas where I can't get through, that's where I'll use this. And then after cleaning the stuff out, I'll clean it right on here. Take that out. It actually does a very decent job at cleaning up. Yeah, this can, as you can tell, this can get very messy. Oh man. This is some of the level wind grease actually popped off here. And some smog too. Thank you, my car. Another important thing about the level wind and keeping it clean is the fact that you don't want these reels as conventionals unless you have mono. If you have braid, you really don't want to turn them into conventional and lose any working capability of your drag. I mean, what am I talking about? You don't want to go with braid to a conventional reel, so you don't want to have your level wind break on you because of the simple fact that braid doesn't line up evenly on the reel as easily as mono would. That's why all the salt fishermen, they prefer to use on their big reels monofilament, because it lines up better and it retains its memory better than braid. So there's that. And now actually I'm going to remove the level wind too, and I'm going to show you how to do this. So definitely not easy from this point of view down here. So actually what you should do is twist this sideways. It would be easier by doing the other side, but I'm just going to do it like this. Have an open area. Actually, this. I'm just going to open that level wind up. Just unscrew that cover. So you're going to pull that out. And that level wind, that cover is also going to have this round bronze colored block in there. When we have that, now we can take the line guide out. This right here. Not the line guide, sorry, that's the little piece that does help the line guide go back and forth. Almost lost that. Oh man, I like to actually touch them up, so what I do is I would just completely clean off any of the grease. Right? Now that we have that, you see a level wind's just moving freely, and that's good because now I get to clean it out too. Alright, so now we're going to twist open the other side, and this is really going to open everything up. Always be organized when you're doing this too. So actually I like to take this cover from this side off like this, because as you see there are these plastic brake stoppers right here that you really want to keep on there. If you do it the other way around, they'll just fall right off. I'm actually going to see if I can move you a little bit closer here. Come a little bit closer to you. Got the reel cage over here. It's all lined up. Now this is still well greased inside, as you can see. I mean, there's still tons of grease on there. I actually like to add grease onto the bait clicker too, because it seems to make it run smoother and it keeps it cleaner and holds it from wearing as quickly. See, there's also a C-lock on there. Oh yeah, still nicely greased, and the grease inside will also keep the reel alive much longer and better, and it's easier to clean too because the grease will trap particles, and then in the end you can just remove the grease with many of the particles in it. So I'm just going to re-grease this cog right here, and that's actually for the level wind. I'm also going to re-grease this up here a little bit. Yeah, just add some grease. But this looks pretty good still. I don't think there's much to worry about right here. If there's excess grease, sometimes I'll just remove it. Just for the sake of removing it. Now, there's also a C-lock. So let's actually remove these brake pads right here. There's actually a C-lock on the side for the level wind assembly. We want to take that out too. So but always with C-locks, be super careful taking them out because it's so easy for them to fly somewhere, and then you'll be like, oh dude, I've been searching for weeks and I can't find the C-lock. Boom. And there it is. There's the second C-lock. I'll put that right there. Clean that off too. So now that the C-lock is out, that level wind is game over. Take it right out. Take it right out. Shaboom. There you go. Good. The level wind usually builds up a lot of dirt, and that's because it's so exposed. I want to clean that off too. And the inside up here too, the line guide, you want to go and clean that tube out too. So usually I'll run through that with my brush. And then if I can find a nice clean piece of paper, I'll do it with that too. As you can see, this is a very well-made reel. Like I said, it's made from a very solid body. It's not the most expensive, it's not the most fancy, but it's got a very straightforward, simple, but nice construction. And that's what I really like about the Rover. Now it's not the quietest when it casts, it's not the smoothest when it reels, but it brings in the fish. The drag has been smooth. I've had no issues with this reel other than the reel handles, but that's a different story. That's just the handles. So now that I've done that, I've cleaned that out. Tissue paper. We want to now go finely distribute some grease. Side here. Doesn't need to be a lot, just put some grease in there. Smooth things up again. Make this a smooth running operation. So now I've done that, I've gone in there and I've put grease inside of there. One thing you're going to hate about servicing your reels is everything is going to smell and feel like grease afterwards. Don't worry, I'm with you. I know it sucks, but it is so worth it. So you really want to go inside this level wind assembly too, right here. You really want to see all that gunk coming off there. Wow. Okay. Really want to clean that off. If you actually check, one of the most failing parts of any fishing reel is a level wind. If it has a level wind, it's usually the level wind that fails. And that's because people don't clean their level winds enough. They do all the other stuff. They're like, oh, that's easy, that's straightforward. But when you really got to do the nitpicky work right here with the level wind, take it seriously, just care for it. that hard. So, now I've done that. I will add just a tiny, tiny, tiny pinch of greasing inside of here. Right there. So there's that. And I want to take a tube, and this always gets so dirty. So I usually do with this too. I love using tissue paper, even though I know it's not, sadly, most environmentally friendly enough, because you just fold it into a nice dirt seeker. Push it all out. And in the end, like that. Here comes from the other side. Pull it all out. Or just get it out like that. Boom. There's that. And so basically, really just clean the whole thing out. After servicing your reel, your hands are going to smell and look like that of a car handyman. And that's something to be proud of. It's dirty work, but you know it pays off. Alright, so then afterwards I go through the level wind right here. And I will actually clean the grease off of here. And that's because I don't like mixing the old grease with the new grease. I'm going to add new grease. I really want to make sure that it's on there solo style. Good, so there's that. Just make sure that no paper was caught in there while you were doing the cleaning service. Should be all good to go. Alright, so there's that, it's all cleaned. So that little disc right here was actually below the C-clip, so you want to remember that. So I want to put everything together as it was, just back in the same shape as we found it. It's actually two rings, but they always stick together, so I never realized that. Well, let's put the level wind back on. So the plastic side goes right here, smaller, right? It's just going to pop right in like that. And you're going to have here, just so you know the alignment. So before we actually do that, let's pop this bad boy back on there. Make sure that the bad boy is locked in. Alright, got that. Lock it back in there. So now what we want to do, this little guy, we want to grease him back up again real nice. We'll put him back in our level line, like I said. You know, that's a very easy part to get damaged. So you really want to make sure, pop him, just chock him full of grease. Pop him back in there. And before tightening that, we want to make sure that we put the actual level wind assembly back in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to grease this assembly up real nice, just on one side, real nice. Grease that up. We'll disperse all throughout there. Good. That. That'll pop right back into place. Now, and then that C-clip, C-lock. Take that and cover it in some grease, real nice. So we lock it back into place. And then we're just going to push that C-lock. You hear a clicking noise right there. And now, cover back on. So now you're going to see a nice little, oh, come on, don't tell me level line got huge. Oh man. Pop that. This is a joke. Good, so now that C-clip is on there. Level wind is on there. Always make sure that the level wind is lined back up at the top right here. So it's now it's lined up good, nice and tight. That tight. Spin it around a couple times in there. So that's the level wind. That's usually the most tough part. Everything else afterwards gets pretty simple and straightforward. So now what we're going to do is, we already greased and twine, put these brake blocks back onto the reel over here, into the 3 parts. Now you want to line up. Now, by the way, before lining it back up, I usually bring line tensioner back down to 0 over here. So what I do now is, KastKing, the label must go like this. So that's how we're going to remember how this goes. Wiggle it around a little sometimes to make sure it fits into with the level out, the line out alarm. Push down a little bit. Make sure it's in there. Remember where your screws are. Like I said, that's already greased up. Usually I would grease the inside, but it's already greased up. Or should I say still greased up from last time? Tighten these screws too first, and then I'll go into the screwdriver. Tighten them all loosely first. You really want to make sure there's no gap between the frame and the side cover. And the frame is right here. Best to make sure that they're lined up. You're going to check the line out, the clicker alarm. Let's see. And you're also going to test for any space right here between this frame and the side plate. Clicker, clicks in, clicks out. That's good. You hear that click. Engage, disengage, perfect. Good. Now, what I'll do here too, so I'm going to keep the reel like this from now on, is take my oil and drop a couple of drops of oil right here into that bearing housing, because that's where the spool will go too. And I want that to be nice and oiled up. So now that we've done that, you want to take this off down here. The best way to do this is a screwdriver. Or you can also use pliers. Pop it right out. Sometimes actually, as long as you're careful and soft with pliers, are actually a better bet than a screwdriver, because you can damage the plastic that way. Gently wiggle, and it pops out. And this is the housing for the bearing. And you're going to have a housing on both sides. And I'm just going to take this, make sure this, yeah, still going smooth. Good. And that's still good. You want to shake it back and forth a couple times to make sure that it's still smooth over there. And put 1, maybe 2 drops of oil in there. Now that we've done that, lock that up. Pop it right back into place. Good. And now, since this is still greased over here, I'm going to leave that just as it is. Pop the spool right back into the place of where it belongs. Right there. Awesome. So now that we've done that, I'm going to re-grease the inside of this. Now, I just greased the internals, but I mean, I can show you guys the internals too. And this is the very important part of your reel. I mean, every part is important, but this is definitely important. These are the workings. The anti-reverse is in there, as well as your drag system. Again, always make sure you remember where your screws are. So now we take the housing off, and boom, there you go. Nice inside of your Rover. So, there's a couple things. Like I said, I always love to, sometimes I think I might be a little bit too crazy with this greasing, but I always love to just grease the inside of my reel very well. Just because I know it'll keep it from aging as quickly. And when it comes to any corrosion too, if I ever plan to use these reels in salt water, it'll be less affected by corrosion. It'll be covered in grease. Now, I'm also going to show you the drag washers. Now, I'm not going to put any grease on those because you should do that very sparingly, and I already did that. You just want to put a little tiny bit of grease on your drag washers. You always want to make sure you never get oil anywhere over here. This is not where oil is supposed to go. Oil over here can mess things up, like your drag. It can make it too buttery smooth and just mess everything up for you. Yeah, things can actually be too smooth sometimes. So now there's that. Plate inside is covered. That's good. That's about all for that. Also check the outside near those screw rings. Make sure there's no dirt in there. So I see some grease here, but this is your drag housing right here. This is your drag. And actually, as you can see, if I pop this up, I can loosen these 3 rings right here. And that's your drag washer down there. See? Still has some drag. It still has some grease on it, as you can tell right there. So I'm just going to leave that be. Not going to funk with that today. We don't need to, but I want to make sure you know where that is. So if you ever need to diagnose anything with your drag or replace the drag washers, just remember, keep everything in the order that you found it, and you'll be fine. I will put a little grease over here on the outside. And definitely over here. Housing. On the inside too, can't hurt because it's going to move up and down the ladder. So, but yeah, this all looks pretty good right here. I don't see anything broken. I see plenty of grease still on there. leave that be as it is. There you go. And these springs are really nice too. I like the fact that they really keep the plate off the reel. Actually, a little bit of grease over here. It's a pretty basic reel. Once you're really starting to get the whole feel for everything like that, you'll be able to basically recreate a reel from your own mind and how it's put together. It is much more complex than many people think, but there's a good reason why that is. Because this reel is awesome and it must be complex. So now that I've done that, I'm going to take this right here, side plate, and we're going to pop it back on. So as you saw beforehand, there are some springs on here. So actually what I do is I pop about half of that screw usually in the grease and before I tighten it. Put it right back down in there. As you can see, I go overboard with the grease, but I really think that it'll help the longevity of the reel. Ooh, and you see like I told you, the little brake pad things, the plastic right here? That one just popped off. I'm glad I saw that. It would have been an awkward first cast if I would have forgotten to put the brake block back on there. So yeah, there's that. So lightly tighten that. Now once both are tightened, then we can tighten the side plate, the rest of the body, clean up any excess grease around there. Boom. And now, what I personally like to do is go in here, and this is an important part. That. And now you're going to add about a drop or two of oil right into here for the next ball bearing. There you go. Oh, you can tell it's in there. Now I'm going to plop this reel right back where it belongs. I'm going to make sure that handle lines up with the bar. Good, boom, boom. Shaka-laka-boom. And tighten these again, always watching for a space between the side cover and the frame. We don't want any space right there. And then now you're going to add one drop of oil right here. That's for the line tensioner. Pop that back on there. And I'm going to show you guys how to get the perfect line tension back to 0. Because we know the one side's already 0. And that's, you're going to keep wiggling back and forth. You're going to keep tightening the other side. In the moment, there's no wiggle. It's a very fine moment. Tighten it. Alright, good. So there's that. Now we just need to grease the ring. Alright, so we have these 2 rings, the internal and the external. Make sure we clean both of these for any previous older grease. Now we want to put a nice fresh layer of grease outside. Again, inside and outside of the second ring too. Should be good. To go. Good to go and rock and roll that son of a gun. Now, all we need to do is screw this star drag back on here. Put a little grease on the inside of that too, that'll help. Keep it nice and fresh inside. When I say fresh, I mean add grease. So when I say make it fresh, it means make it greasy. So let's make this fresh. There's that. So now we can degrease this part right here. A little clip, a little bit of grease underneath it and on top of it again. Freshen it up. Now that's been freshened up. Two beans. So there's that. Grease that up. Put the O-ring on top. Then grease up that C-lock. You normally would. Pop that back on here. Further with the help of the screwdriver. Seatbelt is back on there. That's good. Now, dunk a tiny bit of that. Okay, or just let it fall into the towel's wheel grease. Oh my.
In all honesty, I knew when I first saw you that one day you'd be holding my hand. No
Good, so
twist
there's
of
that.
fate
So now the handle's back on there.
from me. We watched the fairies floating in
Yep.
the sky.
Well guys, thanks for checking out my video today. Please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, please post those down below. If you want to check out my previous videos, they're going to be in the end screen of this video. There's going to be annotations. I really appreciate the love, guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of the content that's coming down. See you next time.